Make sure we're recording here, Gary. In the digital estate planning arena. And give me just a quick moment here, guys. I want to make sure all my audio settings are working properly here. Looks like we're good to go there. So today we have with us Mr. Gary Lofsgaard, the founder of Integrated Trust Systems. And this is very exciting because Gary got started in the business, in the industry, all the way back in 1985. And so Gary and I had the fortunate meeting back in 2006 at a finance conference in Houston, Texas, and we connected. And one of the things I appreciate most about Gary is the heart he has to really serve other people. And I think we shared that in a lot of ways. And there was a camaraderie, and we felt kindred spirits way back in 2006. So it was probably 2013 before I started taking a deeper look at what Gary did and how he was serving humanity through building people's legacy and protecting their estate with revocable living trusts. And I got certified as an estate planning advisor on his platform. And then it was something I did on the side, mostly for quite a few years, Gary, right? And then really past 3 or 4 years, started to get active with that. So Gary, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be here today and doing this Q&A session with us.
Hey, good to be here, Kim. Thank you.
So we're excited because over the recent months, things have really began to shift and create some more momentum. As an agent, as an advisor, I knew for many years that what Gary had in this platform was unique and special. But now that we're in this digitized technological age today, right, we're really empowering people with the ability to take the control back in their estate planning and essentially put them at the wheel or put them at the helm so that they're in a position to really lead the way, versus over the years how kind of estate planning attorneys have controlled the process. Gary, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that transition over times where, you know, the attorneys were really in the forefront of things and how that has shifted in the way that we're embedding attorneys into this process through your platform. Talk to us a bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, well, when I started this business way back in the 80s, I was in the financial services industry. And early on into my time in the industry, I saw a big disconnect between the legal profession, the advisors, and the clients. Were not connected. And most attorneys that I was aware of, and I experienced that in my own family, did not do revocable living trusts back then. They did wills. And of course, the consequence was probate. So when I started my company, I did it as a back office for law firms. That's how we started. And that worked, but it was about 2 years into that model where I realized that where it would really work is working with advisors. And so we had advisors bringing their clients to the table, and then we brought in legal counsel to provide legal suitability, applicability reviews for the clients. That model has worked very well for us. Over the years, we've done several thousands of trusts in all 50 states. It's worked very well for us. So about 11 years ago, we started to do serious research and development with the digitized platform, which we now call the estate plan. And that's where probably 95% of all our business is coming in now. And it's really worked very well, because what I tried to do with that is put the client in complete control of everything. A lot of people don't realize when they set up an estate plan, they pay the money to get it done, but they're not thinking down the road, they're going to have changes they need to have made. Funding, unfunding, and funding changes, life changes. And so it was a real hassle for people. We had to, it's a hassle. And so the digitized platform that we've created enables clients to make all those changes they want 24/7, as long as they have an active subscription with us. And that's worked even better than I'd even dreamed. So that's where we're at. But one thing I will say is, very importantly, even though the client's in complete control, and he is, he needs the assistance, the professional assistance of his advisor and of the attorney of record. So what we've done then is we've created a platform that enables the professions to come together with the client to get the job done. And that's what's happened.
Powerful, Gary, very powerful. So we talk about the electronic funding kit as a way for clients to make updates and changes anytime they want, 24/7 access through a secure client console. So literally within a matter of seconds, a few clicks of the button, utilizing more technology, verified e-signature technology, their estate plan is updated in real time and time stamped at the moment they sign it. So, you know, you change a bank account, you sell a property, you buy a property, anything like that, that typically happens within, I would say, a matter of months of when people first set up their estate plan, right, Gary? There's changes there. So rather than having to go back and pay an attorney, you know, high fees hourly, they can do this on their own and keep it updated. So we talk about how the electronic funding kit is empowering clients, but Gary, talk to us a little bit about the other aspects in ways that this is empowering financial advisors and agents who didn't have accessibility to these services, or would typically maybe have to refer their clients off to a third party or someone else, especially if they were an insurance agent or a healthcare agent.
It's all the advisor has to do to use our platform is get registered, and they'll go through a very basic training session. And I'm willing to have the time at this point to personally train advisors. I like to do that one-on-one, one-on-two, one-on-three, small parties where there's like a dialogue and we walk them through the system step by step. But really, it's very easy for advisors to get registered and get started, because all they have to do is input some basic data to actually create the file. And when they do that, the system kicks in, and they can set up a Calendly link interview time with the attorney of record. The attorneys, the two main attorneys that work with us now, are building up staff. And they walk the clients through the client console dynamics. At the same time, they're giving legal suitability review. And then when that's done, either before or after, the advisor plays the very important role of helping the client to get the trust funded. And on our system, it's painless, because all the client has to do with the advisor's assistance is simply electronically list their assets on an electronic ledger. And we default our trust status to Nevada law. And Nevada has entirely codified electronic signatures from end to end. A very pro-grantor trust state. Many reasons why Nevada really, in my view, is the best status of all 50 states. So we default to Nevada law. They've codified all electronic signature applications. You can electronically sign the trust, the portfolio, the funding ledgers, everything. I mean, clients can literally get this done in a matter of, an hour to 90 minutes, and they have all the information there.
Wait a minute, Gary, did you just say that a client can get this done in an hour to 90 minutes?
If they have everything, if they have all their information on the table, on their kitchen table, everything could be done. I mean, they could get everything done. Something happened to them that night, it'll avoid probate. We've had several estate settlements that have been successful with this platform. It's almost surreal, but it works.
Wow, that is surreal, Gary. I mean, give us a guesstimate back in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, how many hours of time would this process typically take? And obviously back then you didn't have emails, right? It was
Right.
snail mail and back and forth between attorneys. It had to have been countless hours to get this done the right way back then.
I remember years ago, we had a lot of business coming in. This is in the late 90s with snail mail and fax machines. And it was overwhelming. We were like over 2 months behind. People were waiting for our portfolios. It was overwhelming. One day I walked into my office and I saw 6 new transactions in the fax machine come in. I heard myself say, "Oh no, more new business."
Wow.
So at that point, I knew something needed to be done.
Wow.
And that's what led into the digitized platform. And it's completely changed my life and the lives. I mean, it's just really been amazing. I also want to add too, Caleb, for the listeners, one of the ways that the parties stay connected is we have what is called the Notepad Message Center. And there's a client console, the advisor console, the attorney console, and of course our admin console. When the client has questions or would like assistance with something, all they have to do, log into their client console, go to the Notepad Message Center, type out their question, type out their message, and it's immediately sent by our server to all the parties. And the client can expect to get a response usually within 24 business hours. Sometimes it's longer, but usually it's within 24 business hours or even very often the same day. That's been a very big positive application because they're not alone anymore.
Right.
They're not alone anymore. It's our pleasure to help them understand what they have the best we can. For some reason, that's in my heart to do that. It's one of the reasons I did it like this, and I've been very blessed to see that manifest like that.
Yeah, 100%. The Notepad, extraordinary feature among the many unique features of the integrated trust systems platform. But as Gary said, it gives the client that personalized interaction. You've got a question for the attorney, you've got a question for your advisor or the back office. Again, right there, you're just a few clicks away. And obviously for most of us, we're a phone call away as well, Gary, but sometimes we get busy and the Notepad just allows everybody to see the questions, the concerns, or whatever's going on with the client and be able to, respond to that as quickly as possible. And so I love that feature. Again, you expressed it right now, Gary, but your heart to serve and your care and concern for people means so much to me. And, I was having this conversation, right? Because we work with a lot of different insurance agents and advisors and IMOs and companies like that. And I tell people the reason that I chose the title, I have many titles, which I could care less for, but the one that I am most attached to is Legacy Hero Consultant, because for me, meeting Gary, seeing his heart and what he put together is so much of a greater picture of our overall lifelong legacy. Again, we need to protect our estate. We need to protect our assets. We need to build and grow our estate so that we can have a financial future, not only for ourselves when we retire, but for our children and for our children's children, for our grandchildren, right? But at the same time, we have to remember that legacy is the ultimate picture of who we are as individuals. It's about how we want to be remembered after we're gone, right? So there's just so much more to that aspect of, passing things on the right way, avoiding the legal process of probate, avoiding 30 to 40% of our estate potentially being spent down in that unnecessary legal probate process. But how do we want to be remembered? The way that we live, the way that we give, how we serve. Gary, you're such a legacy hero to me in my personal life because you lead by example, because I've seen the way that you give and live and serve others. And I think it really sets apart what we have from a standpoint of character and integrity, because we lead from the heart, right? We're here to serve people, you guys. And I can unequivocally state that about Gary and my many, many years of relationship with him, that he goes above and beyond the call of duty to serve others. And so the lifetime of your experience, Gary, your expertise, and your vast wisdom and knowledge has just really been compiled into this unique platform and system that really is transforming lives, not only that of clients, but of agents and of advisors as well. So I just want to express my gratitude to you personally for the work and effort that you've put in, because I know this vision goes very far back with you, Gary. And there were times that life happened, right? The unexpected curveballs that get thrown our way, getting pushed in the pool, if you will. Talk to us about a couple of those experiences that you had over the years that, made it feel very difficult for you to move forward, but also were an affirmation maybe in your heart that what you were doing and what you were building was exactly what the world needed. Can you share a couple of those experiences with us?
Well, Caleb, I think a good way for me to describe this is that as I built the business with the initial model I described earlier, saw a need. But what I've done, what I've learned as I've grown older and I've been working for a long time at this, is to help people meet the needs of their lives. Is really, if you can do that, it's very rewarding. It's just not the money you can earn. We all need to have a happy profit when we're working. Otherwise, we're not going to be sustainable. So you have to have a happy profit. But you can also serve people with a heart. And I really have been very blessed, as the best way to say it, to actually help people the best way I know how, with what I've learned to do. Because when they know what to do and they trust you, they're going to do the right thing. And then that's a lot of responsibility. When someone's trusting you, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
I don't care who you are. And that's been a real factor in my life that's helped me to grow this. So when you're meeting up with challenges, when you have a vision and you know it works, you know it's the right thing, you can meet those challenges. I'll just relate one story. Way back in 2003, we received a certified mail package from the Illinois State Attorney General's office that we were under investigation. And it turned out that one of the Illinois lawyers on our platform did something he wasn't supposed to do. I won't go into detail, but that occurred. So anyway, all the parties were brought into the investigation, including Integrated Trust Systems. So we went through this detailed investigation, and it turned out that everything we were doing was squeaky clean. There was no problem. We passed, with flying colors, you might say. But things like that, of course, they were concerned we were practicing law without a license. So that's not what we're doing at all. We have a platform supporting advisors and attorneys and on the system. So they saw that when we went through our whole system. And that experience only helped to solidify even more our vision, and what we're doing is the right thing to do. And anytime you reach out, you're going to have challenges. Any business you're in, right? And so, we face that. Of course, the other thing we face is the disinformation that people have. I find that probably the biggest challenge is the disinformation that people have, that you have to inform them of what actually is going on, how the law applies, how it can apply in a certain case. And getting advisors to understand that they're doing the right thing by helping their clients with this application. Because a lot of times, if the client's advisors don't help them with this arena,
Hmm.
it isn't going to get done.
Yeah.
Clients are inherently intimidated oftentimes by going to a law office. They don't want to spend all the money. It's a variable they don't want to deal with. They know they should, but they put it off, and sometimes till it's too late.
Yeah.
Well, very oftentimes. So we want to try to educate the advisors. This is the right thing to do. Not only is the right thing to do, it's actually fun to do.
Mm.
Very rewarding, both financially and emotionally and even spiritually. So I've had a lot of people that really get involved in our platform, that become skilled in it. They tell me how much they enjoy working with it and with it.
100%. Yeah. And when you got that investigation letter, Gary, I'm sure not only did you feel a lump in your throat, but when you got through to the other side of that, there had to be an enormous amount of validation in your heart that, taking the right path, the path of integrity, the path of honor, doing things the right way, right, just pays rewards and dividends in ways that we can't even begin to express. And I love that you brought up the legal aspect of things again, because you nailed it. So many of us, agents, advisors, attorneys alike, because we have an attorney on our platform who is a former probate attorney. So this is someone who had seen the horrors and agonies of family members and individuals going through probate firsthand, got to the point where she'd had enough, found the Integrated Trust Systems platform and said, hey, I want to get on board with you guys and help rescue people from probate. Because, let's be straightforward here. A lot of probate attorneys out there, that's how they make their big bucks, right? They want to see families go through probate. And so that's exactly what we are helping people to avoid, is to not go through probate, to not have to deal with that agony. And so we talk about a lot of the intimidation that's there, with attorneys, with the legal system, that a lot of folks tend to procrastinate because they don't want to deal with an attorney, regardless of whether or not they were taken advantage of by an attorney in the past. There's just an aura about the whole, legal system and attorneys in general. So Gary, talk to us a little bit about how embedding the attorneys has really taken out the intimidation, because again, that attorney fee, that work that the attorney does when you become a client with us and you have a portfolio with us, it's already embedded to that one-time cost and fee, which not only allows essentially us to offer a lower wholesale price, but gives that same access that people need for that suitability review without having to feel like they're going somewhere an attorney is going to take advantage of them. So just from your perspective, talk to us a little bit about that, Gary.
Well, licensed lawyer professionals can be compensated two different ways: by hourly rates, or of course if they're salaried with a corporation. But I'm talking about the practice of law. Generally speaking, they're compensated two different ways: hourly rates and transactional fees. On our platform, they earn transactional fees. So when a transaction comes through, the attorney fee is bundled in the transaction, and we actually pay the attorneys from the bundled transaction fee. So it's very clean. The bundling is important because it's separate. Same thing with the fees that the advisor might earn. The fee that the advisor can earn when they reach a certain level, they can, on occasion, reach what we call a CMS support fee. For them to do that, they have to be directly involved in the funding of the trust. So those are legal applications. The separation, but yet the bundling of the fees is fully disclosed, that makes it work like it does. Advisors oftentimes go, well, I don't know if I should be doing this because I might be practicing law or something. And I'll say, well, how long have you been doing life insurance? Well, a long time. I said, well, You realize that when you write a life insurance contract and you ask the client, where do you want the $500,000 premium or payable on death to go when you die? And of course, they'll give, well, my spouse or whoever the children. Well, I say to them, do you realize you're practicing law at that point? You're doing estate planning. And they go, what? Yeah. So there was a Florida Supreme Court decision many, many, many years ago that said the unauthorized practice of law and the practice of law by a non-attorney is not synonymous. In other words, they're not the same thing. So the unauthorized practice of law and the practice of law by a non-lawyer it does not have to be the same thing, meaning that the non-lawyer has to practice law to do their job.
Right.
As a matter of fact, all of us practice law by one form or another. We have to. We live in supposedly a lawful society, right? The society of law and justice. So it's a fine line that people get really, really confused with. But when the advisor steps up and does their job, it benefits everybody. Because if they don't do that, if they don't help the client, it probably isn't going to get done. And our platform allows the parties to do their job the way they're supposed to. And yet we're all working together, supporting each other.
I love that, Gary, because again, we're able to take people by the hand, essentially, right, and walk them through the process. Now, again, when we talk about the platform and the system being user friendly and the grantor and creator of the estate plan portfolio, right, being in the driver's seat, we don't mean by any means, you come in and we just say, go get this done yourself. It doesn't work like that. So I'm glad that you brought that up. It truly is a integrated platform and creates an extraordinary amount of synergy in the relationship. And I'm just thinking of, last night, Gary, because we were doing some of those live trading, with some insurance agents last night. And we talked about that recent client who made the statement, I feel like I'm not alone anymore.
Right.
I mean, it just speaks such huge volumes when somebody, and this was somebody, I think in their 70s, correct?
Yeah. She was a widow lady.
That is just huge that somebody went through life, right, feeling that alone, probably many a times had gone through her mind that she knew she needed to get something done, but didn't want to deal with the intimidation or, the potential control, if you will, that would happen if she had to go find an attorney that she didn't know. So you talk about a personalized experience, Gary. And again, that's something that I love so much about what we have and the approach, right? That essentially, for me, I think there's a level of credibility that comes in, right? Because people really begin to recognize, okay, you're here to help me and you're here to help me get this done the right way. Like, I know, for you and I can attest, and pretty much everyone I would think for the most part feels the same way, that our conscience is not going to feel right if we are not helping our clients get it done the right way. That's what we're here to do. Meaning what? This is so much more than just a sale. It's not a transaction. It's the building of a long-term relationship, essentially, so that we can reap the rewards, right, in the same way that our clients do, knowing that we're here for them. I mean, how cool is it for you, Gary, to see those annual renewals come in when somebody renews their membership to maintain that 24/7 access to the console?
It's very cool. I knew it would be valuable after when they make, just to clarify, when the client makes initial purchase, they have 90 days, what's called a provisional membership. There's no extra cost. For 90 days, you have complete access. And if they wish to not continue the membership, there's no cost. If they wish to continue, then it's $95 a year, which is nominal fee for what they're getting.
Yes.
So we have a very, very few clients ever cancel out. In fact, sometimes their subscription will expire because their credit card cannot be debited because it expired.
Mm-hmm.
So then they realize weeks or months later, they want to go back and use it. Oh, I can't get in. So there is a surcharge if they've let it expire beyond 40 days. But anyway, we get renewals all the time from people, auto renewals, and then when they go back and manually renew if their card expired and we couldn't auto debit. It's been extremely rewarding for me to see. That tells you that clients really appreciate what you've done for them.
Yes.
And, that really speaks volumes to me. And of course, when they do that, I'm so eager to see them. If they have questions, how can I help you? Thank you for trusting our platform and trusting our team. Thank you for doing that. That's just how we really feel. And when the client sets up their estate plan, they're creating a foundation because for their finances. Think about this: clients that have loved ones, they have assets. They're going to have to leave. They're not going to be here forever. They have to leave, and they can't take the assets with them. So if they know what to do, they're going to do the right thing if they know what to do.
Yeah.
Because they're responsible. Most families, most parents love their children. They want to do the right thing. They just don't know what to do, where to go, how to get it done.
Right.
And this is what the platform does. It's not just one person. It's a team of people helping them. And they see that and they know that it's there. So that's the combination, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. Gary, one of the things that we've seen over the years, and you referenced misinformation earlier, and I'll use the term misconception as well. And we see this a lot. There is an aura, if you will, or a mindset around the terminology of estate planning. And a lot of people, individuals and families out there tend to associate that terminology with someone who has a lot of wealth or a lot of money, and they don't realize that even if they have a smaller estate, that they can benefit from the use of a revocable living trust while they're alive. So I wanted to bring that up and have you talk to us about that so you can clarify for people what exactly does it mean to have an estate, and how is this going to benefit them, even if they're not, a multi-million-dollar client or don't have millions of dollars sitting in the bank.
Well, most families have, at least one home or residence. They'll have accounts, perhaps a trading account, brokerage account, something going on. They have assets. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, realize that when a person dies with assets in their name alone, they become a decedent property owner. And the only way property can be transferred from a decedent to the living is through the auspices of the probate court. Of course, there are rights of survivorship deeds, or there are payable on death benefits and those kinds of things. But there can be inherent problems with trying to do estate planning on a fractionalized basis. So the revocable living trust, when it's set up correctly, creates the synergism for the client's asset base, even if they are only worth, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 total. We have an asset base, and the revocable living trust, properly funded, enables them to control everything in one spot. So you don't have this fractionalized estate planning going on. I've seen people set up right of survivorship, ownership clauses in their deeds with their children. In fact, this is a true story. Many years ago, a lady, when I was retailing, when I was in Phoenix, meeting with clients directly, she told me a story how her daughter, who she brought into her deed as a right of survivorship beneficiary got into a lawsuit. Well, any right of survivorship ownership or an and account like John and Mary Doe, those are 100% owned by both tenants.
So basically, in layman's terms, Gary, you're talking about parents that put maybe a child on their bank account, right?
For that, right, or whatever, as an and, in other words, a co-signer.
Right.
What happens is if that child or anyone who's on that account with you gets sued, that entire asset can be used to spend down to satisfy the claim. And I was across a lady, as I was saying, years and years and years ago, that actually happened to her. I mean, there are several stories like that, but this is my personal experience with someone I was sitting across the table with. So a lot of folks don't understand, they don't know that. And the only one reason you put a right of survivorship clause in a deed is to avoid probate. There's no other reason. It's the only reason, right?
Yep.
But when you do that, now there are special laws in most states. There's what they call tenants by entirety. Husband and wife can own property together, tenants by entirety, and there is protection there. But I'm talking about ownership between parent, child, whatever. I'm amazed at how many people have residential or like rental real estate in their own name instead of in an LLC. I'm amazed.
Wow.
People do things and they're owning a rental real estate in their own name, not understanding if there is a lawsuit involved with that at some level, the claim could reach to their whole entire personal assets to satisfy the claim. Whereas if you have, an entity like an LLC, it only will be restricted to what that LLC owns. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are involved that can be when you set up a plan the right way, you're kind of getting all the pieces put together the right way. And there's no better way. There is, in my view, there's not even close to the benefits of a properly funded, properly drafted, revocable living trust.
Wow, Gary, I'm so grateful you brought that up because, we're talking about these unexpected life scenarios, right? And Gary just shared one of his personal experiences. I have my own as well. We could spend hours just on the horror stories, if you will. And we look at the term estate planning. Obviously, a big part of that is planning. And what does planning mean? It means to be proactive in preventing exactly the unexpected, right? We're talking about things that we didn't know were going to come our way, right? We didn't know one day we have a good marriage. The next day we find ourselves going through a divorce with our spouse who happened to be on the account with the parents. And all of a sudden, everybody's in dire straits because money that should have belonged to them now belongs to the person who, ran off or did whatever they did. So those unexpected scenarios are the things that we don't know, we don't realize could happen. And that's exactly what having a proper estate plan is going to do for you. It's going to protect you from the unexpected, from the realm of the unknown, if you will. So I'm so grateful that you shared that with us, Gary. And again, what I would like for you guys to do, I put a link in the comments, but I want you to go and register on that link because take 30 seconds to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to personally send you an email with all kinds of information that Gary and I are talking about today. Not only will you find a 40-minute video where he and I walk you through all the aspects of the platform, just like you were a real client, but you'll find a full-length presentation in there where I talk about these unexpected scenarios because there's a lot of different ones that can happen to us at any point in our lives that we just go, I don't know what to do anymore. I wasn't prepared for this. And like Gary, you mentioned earlier, if we don't proactively prevent this from happening, then oftentimes it's too late. And it's not always just the unexpected death of a spouse or a loved one, right, that puts us in dire straits or puts us in a scenario where we have to deal with probate. It's a lot of different things that could have been avoided if we had a living trust today in place right
I
today.
agree. I
So
agree.
Gary, I wanted to ask you, moving forward here, in the minds of people that continue to think, okay, they're listening to us today. They say, I know I need to get this done, but life is crazy. The world's in dire straits, right? I don't know what the future holds, or, I'm going through something at present, or maybe I'm trying to sell a property and I want to wait. What would you say to people that still are going, I can put this off till tomorrow, or maybe I can wait to get this done next year?
Well, we all deal with procrastination, no doubt. But it really, I think what we're doing here is we are discussing the importance of stepping up and getting this done. And I will just share with you, since you brought this up, I've had many people tell me, oh, I'm so glad to get this done now. It's so true. If you know something should be done, you don't forget about it, right? Whatever it is, it's something that you got to take care of. You've got it on your list until you do it. When you get it done, you can cross it off. When you get this done the right way, you can cross that off. And if you have to make changes on our platform, very easy to do.
Yep.
So that provides a lot of, can I say, peace of mind to people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Extraordinary peace of mind.
Exactly. And they know they've done the right thing. They know they can control the situation now. I've had several situations where someone may have a spendthrift child, for example, who they love, but they know if something happened to them and they become an heir of a bundle of money, it's not going to do that child any good at all.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, without proper planning, may I say, you may be doing a disservice to someone like that. Now, I can speak from personal experience. When I was young, I was a spendthrift. I did not know how to manage money. I didn't. And now I do. But if you're going to put a bundle of money into the hands, excuse me, of a person who's not sophisticated in handling money, you're not doing that person a favor. Yeah. And with a trust, you can control all of that.
Yeah.
Very important.
That's an excellent
point. I think it is a good point. And with the trust, you can control, you can benefit grandchildren. It's just so many wonderful things you can do.
Yeah.
And we have a very sophisticated apps table on our platform that can be read and chosen and read. And the attorney will help the client decide what they want to do after they talk with the client. They'll discuss this app to fit into this custom trust directive section and so on. Everybody has fun. I'm just going to say that because, I don't know, it's just a good thing to do. And it's fun to help you.
I love that you brought that up, Gary, because not only have we taken the intimidation out of estate planning, we've simplified the process, and we have actually made it fun. So again, I want to encourage you guys, if you have that feeling, that nagging, or I always like to use movie analogies, Gary. I use this one from the Matrix trilogy, that splinter in your mind. There's something in you that nags and knows something is off. And this can go for a lot of different areas in life, right? Yeah. Or that still small voice, or just that little prick that tugs that says, I know I need to get this done. Don't wait. Listen to that. Reach out to us. And one of the things I wanted to mention is what you're doing when you take the step to plan and to prepare and set up your estate, set up a revocable living trust, is you are empowering yourself with that education and knowledge. And I think a big part of what I love about what we do, Gary, again, is that we are empowering people. We are educating them, that the presentations, that the ones that I have done live, the one that you can register for, the virtual one that's been recorded, it's absolutely free. There's no cost for you to get all this information, to learn about all these different life scenarios, to understand the difference between a will and a trust. All that stuff is free. These educational tools and resources we've put together over a lot of years. And one thing I love about the new website, Gary, that I know we've talked about over the years, is that you have compiled the wealth of knowledge, information, and expertise that you have written, that you have trained estate planning attorneys with, and you have put links to those articles right on the website for people to educate themselves. Talk to us a little bit about that, because to me, that's invaluable. You can't even put a price tag on that information.
I actually, we just completed our new website here just a short time ago, and many of the articles I've written over the years, not all of them, but many of them are on there now. And you're right. They can go to articles on our website, click on that link. There's a table, and they can click on the link and read the HTML page, and they can also click on the PDF file. So they can read it in a PDF and they can download it. And it's good information. When we train people, I always try to get them, if they have an area that they're wondering about, I say, well, please read my article first, because it'll help facilitate our time together.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of good information. I think probably one of the things that describes me is I've always, for a long time, I really like to do legal search. I'm a legal researcher, I would say, is a good way to describe me. I really love the application of law. I love the U.S. Constitution. I love those things. Matter of fact, to me, revocable living trust exemplifies a tremendous benefit we have as Americans to contract. We can even, it just exemplifies all of that, and I have a love for that. So, but anyway, those articles I've written and posted, I think, are very informative. And if people read them and they have questions, I'll be happy to discuss, those things with them too. We're here 100%. To help folks.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do. So we encourage you, when you have access to 36 years of, experience, knowledge, expertise in estate planning, for free, then you're empowering yourself, right? Because again, ignorance can keep us vulnerable, right? It can put us in a bad situation. The more we know, the better we understand how we can protect ourselves, our family, our legacy, the more empowered we are to make a greater impact in our future, right? Because I know at our heart, we won't get into it in detail today, Gary, but we have a charitable cause program as well, which has been an extraordinary way that we can extend our philanthropic desire to serve nonprofits. I've utilized it personally to help special needs organizations. And we have an incredible special needs trust called the Universal Guardian Trust that helps families with children with special needs to maintain those SSI benefits and be able to still, pass on their estate. So there's so many aspects and attributes of, being able to help equip and empower people who, maybe before didn't have that accessibility or didn't know there was a way to do so. Now, one thing is, as we kind of close up shop here and wind down, Gary, that I wanted to ask you about is a common concern, if you will, or common theme that comes up with a lot of people and clients. And it revolves around the difference between a will and a trust. And a lot of people think to themselves, okay, I've got a living will, therefore I don't need a trust. And so until something happens to them and their estate is probated, they didn't really realize or understand the difference. So talk to us for a couple minutes about the difference and why it's important to have a properly drafted living trust in place.
Well, as I mentioned earlier in the call, if a person dies with assets in their name alone, whether or not they have a will or they don't have a will, they become a decedent property owner. So that requires probate to transfer assets from a deceased person who is owning property to the heirs. What a living trust does is that when you set up a living trust, a person can name themselves, the grantor can name themselves as the trustee as well. So he can either retitle assets to himself as trustee, or he can assign assets to himself as trustee. Either one will work. In fact, on our platform, the assignment process is what you and I were talking about earlier that makes it real easy to do instead of going through the complexity of retitling assets while you're alive. So if you have set up a revocable living trust and you have either retitled assets to yourself as trustee or you have assigned assets to yourself as trustee, when you die, there will be no need for probate because you are not a deceased or decedent property owner now. You've addressed what's going to happen when you die. So that avoids probate in itself. And of course, I should also say, Caleb, with a trust, you can do so many other wonderful things. For example, years ago, 2 years ago, before the Secure Act for IRA, inherited IRAs came along, people could have a lifetime distribution of inherited IRAs for inherited IRA beneficiaries. That's been limited now to 10 years. But an inherited IRA doesn't have to go out to the beneficiary immediately when the IRA owner dies. Because if the beneficiary receives the IRA immediately when the IRA owner dies, they can withdraw it. It all becomes taxable income, right? It's all income as it comes out. The owner or the grantor of a revocable living trust can make his IRA payable to the trust. And the terms of the trust will control the dispositive provisions of the IRA. That's a big plus because a lot of Americans have IRAs or 401ks, which can be a trustee rollover to an IRA. That's a big deal, big deal. So the 401k IRA owner can control to a certain extent what's going to happen to that account after his decease. But you cannot do that without a trust.
Right.
A lot of folks don't know that.
A lot of folks don't. That's huge right there, Gary. Very huge. So again, taking back control of your life, your estate, guys, what we're really talking about here essentially is personal responsibility. Have we all been guilty of procrastinating? Yes. I can think back to countless times in my life where lack of information or just fear of the unknown kept me from doing what I knew in my heart and mind I needed to do. So we're talking about personal responsibility here. But if you want something to change, if you want something to improve in our lives, we do have to take actionable steps, right? Again, we can go back to saying faith without a corresponding action is moot. It doesn't really get you anything. Anytime you want to improve yourself, you want to build a legacy, you want to provide for your family, you can believe that till you're blue in the face, till the cows come home. But if you don't do something about it, nothing's ever going to change, right? So what we're talking about is taking action. The first step is just getting into action. And so I found, Gary, right, that once you have that knowledge and that information, no longer is fear an attribute, no longer is intimidation there. The only thing you have left at that point is excuses. And we all know that excuses are like, well, we won't say anything vile here, but everybody's got one. So at the end of the day, don't find a reason to make an excuse. We're giving you guys the tools. We're empowering you with the things that you need essentially to build whatever it is that you want out of life. And again, we talk about legacy, and whether we're proactively think we're building a legacy or not, Gary, when we're gone, we're leaving a legacy behind.
We are.
Because how we're remembered by people is our legacy. So how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as somebody who is a procrastinator, or an irresponsible burden? Or do you want to be remembered by your family, your loved ones, your peers, your associates as someone who took action, who proactively planned to protect and build a generational legacy for the people that come after you? And I think it's so important that we give thought to that. And I want to close up by saying, Gary, part of your legacy, and I just think this is so cool. You have a son who is now involved in your business and estate planning. That's just a huge aspect of legacy. So not only is Cole is his name, is Cole going to, reap the benefits of what you've built in your business and the financial legacy you're leaving him, but he's also being empowered with the knowledge and the wisdom and information that you've accumulated over the years to be able to pass on to his future potential children and the people he works with. How meaningful is that to you, Gary?
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful setup for us to be able to do this. Of course, I know a lot about estate planning, so I can do things, for him and do all the things the right way. But he's a wonderful guy. He's taken on a lot of responsibility, and he's heir apparent, of course, at this point. And but he works closely with others, yourself, attorneys on our platform. And Cole is very well aware that other people know things he doesn't know, and he's a team player. I would say it's a good way to describe Cole. He's a team player. So I'm very happy about that. And
I love it.
I plan on being around as much as I can to help. And but when the day comes, I'm not. I believe he'll step in and do a great job. So. Yeah.
Well, just to give people an idea of how much you love what you do, Gary, you're approaching your mid-70s, and do you have any plan of not doing this in the very near future?
I'm actually having more fun now than I've ever had. We had our best year last year, 2021, best year ever, and I'm having more fun. I just enjoy what I do, and I don't have any plans anytime soon. No, matter of fact, I don't know. Maybe it's too important to me. But
guys, if that doesn't shout from the rooftops and speak volumes to you about how passionate this man is about what he does and the way that he's serving the world, I don't know what else could. And so I rejoice with you, Gary, and I celebrate how this legacy that you built is impacting the world. And the crazy part is, because I'm super happy you're not going anywhere for a while. The crazy part is we're really just getting started in the way that this is being rolled out and marketed to the world. And in one of my videos that I made for agents and advisors recently, I talk about how this platform was for many years one of the best kept secrets out there, and now is being made known and made available to the world. And just more and more people are finding out about this and how it can empower their life and their family and their resources and their legacy. So again, guys, just one small step in the right direction can create a 180-degree turn, allow you to pivot, right? If you're still living and breathing, it's not too late to get this done. So throw off any guilt and shame and condemnation, regret, anything from the past that may have kept you from doing what you needed to do and procrastinated. There's none of that. Today is the perfect day. Right now is the perfect moment to take the steps to build, create, protect, and grow your legacy and be remembered as the kind of hero that we know that you are. So we want to thank you for being the heroes that you are to your families, your communities, your children. Gary, thank you for being the hero that you have been over the years to lead the way for us to help become heroes to our families and children as well. And so, guys, we encourage you, let's be heroes together. Let's continue to build something powerful. And Gary, thank you once again for taking the time to join us today. Look for the link in the comments, guys. Get registered, learn more about what we have and how it can empower your future legacy. We so appreciate you tuning in today, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care.